Look at us now.
Oh, Jesus.
It's what, 11 a.m.?
Combat.
Oh,
Whoa.
You fit in seamlessly in this weird MK environment.
Do you want a margarita?
we're gonna do it.
That's it.
On your marks, get set, and go down.
Yeah, losers whine about their best. Winners go home and F the prom queen. Hello, everyone, on this 26th day of June 2026. My name is Luke Thomas. It is another edition of Morning Kombat. I am one half of your hosting duo. As I mentioned, I join you from the capital of Estados Unidos, right here in Washington, D.C., joined by a man that is from, what is it, land of the capital of besides Georgia? What is it, the capital
of Dustin Poirier getting arrested, apparently.
Yes, that is right. It is Jed Meshew from MMA Fighting. Hello, Jed. How are you?
Good. I love that because we were backstage talking about The Rock. Nobody knows that that's why you open that way, but now I just keep thinking about The Rock. So probably going to watch that after this show.
It's such a great movie. We were talking about it because The Rock, the movie starring Sean Connery, Ed Harris, Nicolas Cage, among many others, by the way. It's on HBO Max, and then right before the show started, I saw someone slandering it on social media, and I about lost my mind because it's honestly one of the great action movies of the 90s. But other than all of that, we have a show to get to today. So there's actually quite a bit kind of, in my opinion, kind of quietly happening where you've got a UFC show in Baku. You've got a boxing fight that like is supposed to be good, but like I just haven't seen a ton of promo for. PFL's in San Diego, if anyone was paying attention. There's new MMA rankings that we have to react to. Garry signing with Eddie Hearn. It's a lot to get to. So thumbs up if you haven't already. Please hit subscribe. You can always email the show, morningkombat@gmail.com. And let's bring in the third member here of the show. It's my friend and yours. Whether he's sober, who even cares at this point? It's Long Island Luke. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I was sober. I had a busy morning. I was writing this hate article on this movie, The Rock. It sucks. But anyways, dude, I had a good week. I saw Daniel Tosh in stand-up this week, and I don't know what your opinion of Daniel Tosh is, but like haven't seen Daniel Tosh since Tosh.0 back in like the early, 2010s, late 2000s, whatever. He was fucking hilarious. It was a great show. So anyone he's coming around on tour, go see him. It was good.
I genuinely, I've only seen Tosh.0 a handful of times. I thought it was really funny. And I've seen clips of his stand-up. It looked pretty good from what I could tell.
He's pretty funny, man. And he's like a little older now. I should have looked up his age before this, but I want to say he's like in his 50s. I feel like he's a bit older, but
he might be. Yeah.
It was pretty funny, dude. So yeah, definitely go see him. That's
there
all
you go.
I'm pretty sure he has a podcast now where he's like less of a shock comic and more like a, because we got old and washed.
Yeah,
which was also I watched the latest Jackass last night, and that is basically a movie about how they're 50 and they can't really do this anymore, and it was kind of sad while also still being Jackass and funny.
Like it's just hard to have the same vinegar and piss when you get older. It just does like you realize it's all kind of pointless in the end. All right, well with that,
wow, what a positive start to today, Luke.
We're all gonna die and turn into worm food. I don't know what else to tell you. Let's talk about the merch here, morningkombat.shop. We have some of this ready for you. 3 designs this month, only available, by the way, this month. We have the Genesis design, we have the biker design, and we have the crown design. We also still have the basketball. Again, once the month is over and the days are now dwindling, it will be done. We have the basketball West and the basketball East. Also, as a reminder, we now have, membership here on the channel. You get exclusive emojis, exclusive badges, and we're going to roll out other goodies as time goes on. A great way to support the channel. So please do that if you would be so inclined. All right, with that out of the way, I'm ready to get this party started if you are, Jed.
Let's bang.
All right, let us bang. Oh, you know what? Sorry, before topic number 1, actually, this news kind of came out right before the show. Namely, we have some numbers now for the worldwide numbers, I should say. Worldwide numbers for the UFC White House card. The very basic details, and there's more to read here. I won't go through the whole thing, but the basic details are that they are claiming 34 million global viewers. And I think there are actually still a couple of lingering markets which might push this number even a little bit higher. They're also claiming like an absurd number, like 1.2 billion something. No, I think 126 billion views on social related to this event. I'm not really sure how that's possible, but not really the important figure. The 34 million is the one that is, Jed, it's unequivocally a very good number. It is well short of the, and I still don't know why they were making these public pronouncements about numbers that were beyond the scope of anything imaginable. But what we got, 34 million, hard to see that as anything other than an unequivocal win for the organization.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, I don't ever know at this point. Like, it is become more common, probably failing on my part that I haven't like gotten more versed in this. But like, I don't know what the social media impressions thing. Like, I just don't have a gauge for how good or bad that is. That sounds like a lot, but like, I don't know how they pull that. None of that. That's all sort of opaque to me. But yeah, like 34 million people is a shitload of people watching one event. The only way that it is negative, like the only lens through which you can view this as a failure, is if you set the bar at the Super Bowl, or Joe Rogan comes out and is like, this is the most watched sporting event of all time. Like, that's the only way, is in that context. And I think that most people just disregarded that entirely. And so, no harm, no foul in this, but like, yeah, 34 million people watched Justin Gaethje beat the sin out of Ilia Topuria. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a lot. And again, I want to just be clear about something like, what would this card have done absent this backdrop and this larger political involvement? Probably nothing like this. So, the UFC is making a clear strategy call here, and there's a lot of potential challenges to the way that this business this event was made. I'll just be euphemistic about it, but the calculation on the other side about what it would do for business, it clearly worked, right? It clearly produced a huge number domestically, get at least what in terms of what Paramount Plus is capable of. And again, I want to be clear, this number globally is not really a Paramount Plus number. Like the numbers that we got for initially for the 7 million domestic and then 8.5 or 8.2 in Latin America in total, basically the Western Hemisphere, that only includes Paramount Plus. These global numbers could be in countries where it's just on cable. So, this is, on the one hand, the US number is good for Paramount Plus, and the global number is good for UFC, but it's not all one measurement of one kind of streaming or cable system. Just keep that in mind.
I mean, the other thing is like, and I thought this immediately after, and now with these numbers, I wonder what it could have done. Right? Because this was not, I don't think, set up for the highest level of success. I think holding it on a Sunday evening is just like way worse than holding that on a Saturday. I had plenty of people be like, yeah, I went to bed. It was on an hour rain delay and it's Sunday. I had work in the morning. The event wrapped at like 1 a.m. Like people aren't, and that's domestic, East Coast. Like, how does that translate overseas when it's not 1 a.m.? It's maybe, I guess people are waking up and watching it, but like, how would this have done if it was not behind the Paramount paywall and just broadly available everywhere and on a Saturday night? I think you could be looking at a significantly higher number. It's not what they wanted, but I do kind of wonder what the maximum amount the UFC could draw with something like this would be.
Yeah. I mean, also imagine this. Imagine if you had like a Conor McGregor level. I mean, okay, Conor's unlike it, but the John Jones tier of celebrity, if you had that on this card, and also it was on Saturday night, not Sunday night, and again, at some kind of global time that was accommodating for a lot of time zones, Canelo Crawford on Netflix did 41 million globally. It would have exceeded that. I mean, there's no question in my mind it would have gotten up to 50 million. My feeling is domestically they would have doubled their audience, right? They would have had,
and it's entirely possible.
15 million or so, something like that.
Yeah, and entirely possible. So, this is obviously a great number. I hope, I don't necessarily think that this will be the case, but I kind of hope that the UFC looks at this and gets greedy and is like, what more could we do? Because it's more fun when they put on something big and grandiose, maybe a little less, for my taste, a little less political nature to it, but like that didn't ultimately bother me that much. And so I would love for them to do something else enormous and grand like this in the future and soon.
Yeah. Connor, one of the points I think he had made recently, I'm not sure where he made it, but he was like, they got to break. I saw it on social. They got to break the bank. I agree. Like, getting out there and trying is just really all what UFC fans want. And when they do, look at the results. All right. With that in mind, let's go to topic number 1, which is a less pleasant one, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world. However, it's worthy of some kind of an examination here. Former UFC lightweight interim champion Dustin Poirier, now retired, was arrested in Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, I think is the name of it.
Correct.
For being basically drunk in public, which doesn't sound that bad. And ultimately, here's the good news. Nothing bad really happened. There was no violent incident. It kind of got a little close here, as you can see from this screenshot. Shout out to the security guards in the airport. Did a phenomenal job. Cops did too. Everyone involved. And by the way, the ladies who were working behind the counter who also did their job with all of it. I think it was pulled off of a flight in Atlanta. And then the subsequent footage that we saw just kind of showed, a visibly inebriated Poirier, agitated, ultimately calmed down. As I mentioned, ultimately went just fine. But one of these things where, given some of the other comments that Dustin has made, and I'm going to play some, and then you're going to get a reaction to all of this, Jed, it just brings up a little bit of broader set of questions about how his health is, and maybe a lot of guys who get done with the UFC. Let's watch this clip, and then I want to get your thoughts.
But let me ask you this, bro, because we always ask you fight questions, bro. Just how are you doing in life right now? How is life? How is Dustin Poirier, not the fighter, but just Dustin Poirier in general, bro?
Thanks for asking that, man. I'm trying to navigate it, bro. I'm good. Some days I'm great. Some days I'm not so good. It's up and down, honestly. Fighting has changed me forever, and in good and bad ways. It's just trying to get into a groove of being a father, being home more, working on things outside of fighting, things that I put on the back burner that I couldn't for so many years. Just staying busy, man. It's really, I got to keep my mind busy. I'm a danger. I've said this before. People have heard me say this, but I'm danger if I don't have anything circled on my calendar. If I'm not working towards something, trying to better myself and my family, I'm a danger to myself.
All right. So we have that. Ultimately, I want to show you one more thing if I can. We have a statement that Dustin put out on social media. I'm at the point where I need some help. Walking away from fighting hasn't been easy on me, and alcohol isn't the answer. It has ruined my father's life, and I will not allow it to ruin mine. My family deserve me at 100%. I'm trying to do everything I can to get my mind right and take the right next steps. Your reaction to the Poirier arrest?
I mean, I think my reaction is pretty similar to everybody's, right? When it first came out, because it happened in stages, we knew he got arrested for public drunkenness. I think most people just don't really know what that means or what that looks like, because you just have a different idea in your head of I've been drunk. I don't why is being drunk in public a problem? The way that law is basically everywhere is you're drunk in public and an asshole. You are being a belligerent person in public, disrupting the social peace or whatever, but you just don't know what it looks like. The video comes out and it obviously is just starkly different. And my first reaction was genuinely, wow, really good work by the cop. You just don't see that happen a lot with cops in situations like this. And then it's immediately well, this is very sad. And I don't know. Right now, this is not big sad, this is not the 18th arrest of Mayhem Miller, this is the first really incident of Dustin Poirier. But we've been in this game long enough, Luke, that this can be a slope to somewhere much, much worse. And so it's just oh, Dustin Poirier he's so freshly removed. This isn't even, he's barely a year away out of retirement, right? I'm actually maybe not even a year. And for him to have something happen like this is wow, I hope this is, to his point, this is the inciting incident for him to get right and figure this out, get the help he needs, because it's not great to see a dude who has been really good, been really great for the community, he's the Forrest Griffin Community Award winner or whatever, to have an incident like this. It's just it makes you think about the ramifications of the sport we watch,
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different elements that are probably contributing to his present identity issues. Maybe, as he indicated, like alcoholism might be a thing that is genetically part of his family lineage. And I think one thing that just sort of goes unnoticed is, I kind of think that, I'm not saying getting arrested for being drunk in public at airports is happening more than we realize, but I think fighters who are done with their careers, if they fought 15 years or more, there's a lot of this going around, man. There's just way more than people know about. And I think that's one thing I want people to really remember about this is, obviously this was a very public examination of one, but there's a lot of these that are kind of quietly happening in a lot of different places. Some of it just being more medical than anything else, but real just the same. So I think that's part of it. And Dustin, Dustin fought for basically, give or take about 20 years, dude. That's like an enormous amount of damage that is going to do something to you, whether you like it or not. I think the thing that I try to like, the needle I try to thread here on this, Jed, is, look, man, this is no secret. I've been and I've talked about it in my past, especially after, tragic incident in my life. Dude, I was a drunk. And there's probably times where, I've never been arrested at all, but I've certainly never been arrested for that. Never been in the back of a car, never been cuffed. But there's probably a few times.
Where were you on January 6th, Luke?
Yeah. Tweeting at this desk. But you know what I mean? Like in college days, there's probably a few times that I had it coming and I just, it just didn't happen. So I'm not going to get up here and make some kind of, huge moral condemnation about practice that I've had my own challenges with in very serious ways. Simultaneously, though, if you want to be compassionate, you also have to tell people the truth. And if something like this is happening, if this is bleeding out into your life like this, then quite literally you can't contain it. You know what I mean? People, the real teetering moment for everyone who's struggling with something out there is if you're able to kind of control it and suppress it. I'm not saying that's good, but that is a different stage from now it is bleeding out into the part where you can no longer actually actively suppress it such that the public can't be aware of it, right? That this is now a new stage you've hit. And I think if that's the kind of thing that has happened, an honest examination of what is contributing to get you there has to happen. And so, I think to your point, Poirier has really tried to be a guy he, comes from a messed up, disadvantaged background. And the thing that has made Poirier so admirable to me is he has wanted better for himself. He has wanted better for his family. And he has tried, I think, his level best to kind of act on those things and build a life that way and build a career that way. And one incident doesn't undo it. But at the same time, to your point, Jed, dude, problems like this can spiral so fast, much fast, especially again, if it's bleeding out beyond your ability to control it. That is when you're okay, like a slippery slope can really happen now. I'm not necessarily predicting that. I'm saying I just hope that Dustin, I think he will take this opportunity seriously. If anything about his past suggests that. But it's right on time. In fact, it probably could have started a little bit earlier.
Yeah, there are just sort of two other things I want to address here. One is the biggest concerning part to this for me is that Dustin Poirier is not a man without other things, going on. And so for other people, maybe they retire and they don't have anything else going. But Poirier's got a hot sauce company. He has a family that by all accounts love him. I don't know his family, but that seems like that's a good relationship. He's on UFC broadcasts. He, in that clip, he talks about needing things to focus himself. He has many of those. And so for something like this, it's a big red flag that you still have things that can do what you say you need. And we're here. It's not great. And the other one, and this could be entirely wrong. I just want to be honest about that. But it seems like he was with people and those people didn't leave the plane with him. And that just seems like shitty friendship to me, quite frankly. Luke, if we're on a plane together and I get thrown off for being belligerent, I intend you should get off the plane with me because clearly I need somebody to be with me.
I'm gonna let you hang.
Damn, dude, that's cold. Long Island would help me.
Well, I think he might have been. I don't know who he was with, but if he does that podcast that they do on Mondays, I suspect he was flying there. I don't know that. I'm merely speculating, but I guess he may have been with maybe other people. I don't know who lives in Atlanta that he would have been flying out with. I don't know. I don't know who was there, but probably something to consider. But yeah, I'd let you hang just to be super clear on that.
Bullshit.
You know?
It's just nonsense.
I also want to say something. Like, and this is not specific to this situation, but like, I feel like MMA fighters get thrown off of planes a lot. Is that a thing that you notice? And I don't want to make light of the situation in any way.
It's happened a couple of times lately.
Dude, I've
right?
been
like
on
Armin.
flights where MMA fighters got pulled off the flight for threatening us. Well, if it's a man, it's not a stewardess, right? It's a steward. Is that what we call them?
I mean, flight attendant is
Flight
term.
attendant. Pardon me. I grew up in the 80s. He threatened a flight attendant on one flight I was on, and it wasn't a UFC fighter; it was a different thing. But I feel like Armin's getting thrown off, Habib's got thrown off and shit. Like I feel like it happens more than I like for any other circle of people that I personally know.
It does seem like in the last couple of years there have been several plane incidents.
Yeah,
and maybe it's what's the term for that? But like maybe you just notice it more now. But yeah, there's been a few of them.
It's wild. In any case, I really hope that Dustin is able to. The good news is he's got the means to get help, and he's at a stage where help could really do quite a lot. And I think that gives me some hope for his next steps. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I just broadly, I talked with Mike Heck about this yesterday on Between the Links. I think it would be really nice. I don't have any anticipation that this will happen, but for the UFC to do something. Not, specific here, but like
what obligation? Let me ask you a
broadly.
question. Like, under what rule would they have and I'm not challenging you as like, but I'm asking, like, I'm interrogating, like, why do they have a responsibility?
I don't think they have like an obligation, right? But like it would just be it, they don't have an obligation to have the PI, but that's a thing that they do as like hey, this looks good. There are some ancillary benefits. I think the PR win would be huge for them. Like critics of the UFC, like me and you and other people would have to be like, yeah, that's objectively pretty cool for them to do that. And I don't know, apparently the WWE has some sort of a plan that I learned about, for like former athletes who have issues, substance abuse or whatever issues. I don't know what it would look like, but it just would be cool for the UFC, a multi-billion-dollar industry, to be like, hey, we recognize that, this is maybe some level of a problem in our industry, and we want to take some proactive steps to help the fighters who helped us.
I feel like, I'm not saying that they won't help, or they may quietly help and not like make it a public thing or, something. I don't know. I suspect that they might do something. But the last thing I would say is I'm going to remind people one more time. I think this kind of thing is happening a lot more than people realize. And I wonder how the UFC views its role in a world where if they make a public show about helping X or Y fighter, to what extent it opens the floodgate that people would come to them for help and potentially make some of these things public versus a lot of these guys just kind of navigating this on their own and not even assuming that any kind of UFC lifeline is available. Again, I want to be as clear as I can. I am just speculating, but you have to imagine they've kind of thought some of this through just by virtue of what happened to BJ Penn. I don't know how they'll go. I don't know how they'll react.
I think it's correct to be skeptical, but like, yeah, you just look at BJ Penn, we're now hitting the generation where there are bigger stars, right? Like the past 10 years was like the guys who would get into this zone were the UFC 1 through 20 people. And a lot of people don't know them, but you start to get to BJ Penn and Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. These are much more well-known figures having these incidents. I don't think they'll do anything. It just would be nice. I'd like to see it.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to topic number 2, which is fight previews. All right, there is a UFC fight night. Going to be early, well, depending on where you are, I suppose. If you're in the West Coast, real early in the morning. If you're on the East Coast, not so bad. It'll still be a morning opportunity for you. The UFC returns to Baku, Azerbaijan. Why the fuck are they going to Azerbaijan? It's because Azerbaijan is paying a bunch of money to bring the UFC there. That's the end of it. And of course, there are some guys who are natively from Azerbaijan on this card to make it all kind of work. But okay, that's why they're going. It's a UFC fight night main event featuring a very, very, very still ranked but struggling Rafael Fiziev against the, well, I'm not sure what to call him, ascendant maybe ascendant, certainly coming off a couple of real nice wins, Manuel Torres. Let's start first with the native son here in Fiziev, if we can, Jed. I got to say, man, like, first of all, coming off of a loss, and he does have a win recently, but like it's just sandwiched between L after L. He's had injury. He's had surprising losses. He's taken a couple of like real bad beatings along the way. How serious are the stakes for a fight like this for Rafael Fiziev?
They're incredibly enormous, right? Like, sort of depends, because honestly, his losses have aged very well now that two of them are to the current undisputed champion of the division, which I still is mind-boggling to me to say. And then the others to Ruffy in a fight that was competitive until it wasn't, right? And Ruffy seems like he's probably going to fight for a belt one day, like, so that's not a terrible loss. But the thing is, I don't know if Fiziev was ever like expected to be the guy, but he seemed like he was going to fight for a belt one day, and he never could get over the hump, and I do wonder how he hasn't looked the same to me since the knee injury against Gamrot. And, maybe that's just because 2 of his 3 fights were against Justin Gaethje, who apparently has his number and is the best in the world, I guess. And Ruffy, who is a very, very difficult striker to deal with in that sort of Fiziev's game. If he has any hope of pulling, he's not old, but he is 33. And even in the year of the Unk, like we are in, like he's still getting up there. If he wants to make a run, he can't win one fight in 6 or whatever it will be at that point. So his back is really against the wall here in a matchup that's like not a gimme. This is not a layup for Fiziev. Like, this is a hard fight for him, and he's really got to come through.
I think these are real. I think he's up against it. I mean, it's not just that you don't want to have another losing streak or something like that, although obviously any kind of L is bad. Also, it's in your hometown. That would also not be great. But then, like, more importantly, like, Fiziev was part of the vanguard of who we thought, at least certainly who I thought, and others as well, of the, you thought Saryukian might emerge, you thought Gamrot might emerge, you thought, Kutateladze might emerge, or Ismagulov, or like that, all that generation of lightweights where they were coming out of, either Europe or Eastern Europe or the Caucasus regions or something like that. And like a lot of that just fizzled. And it's not to say that you can completely look the other way on Fiziev. And I realize this is 45, not 55, but, oh, sorry. No, this is 55 now. What am I saying? This is 55 now. But the point I'm trying to make is, he was, there was great expectations on this guy. He was expected to be, and he had early wow factor. Remember, he was getting out of the way of, what was his face? The guy with the Mohawks kicks, like showing this like acrobatic defense. And you were like, dude, this guy is going to be dynamic, fast, explosive. But he's just really kind of had a rough run of it. He has, again, okay, he couldn't beat Gaethje, but like, I understand that, like, Gaethje is better than who we thought, but at the same time, it's also the guy who got put on his face at UFC 300 not too long ago. And even during that time, he was struggling a little bit. And then obviously more recently against Hoofy, I didn't know how that one was going to go. And he had a moment for a time where he got it. But like, dude, to your point about the knee injury, he just seems a lot more hittable than he once did. And I don't know if it's partly the damage he's taken, partly the knee injury itself. But like, he's still got pretty good looking offense, but I don't know about his size at this weight class. I think that is still, to me, like very much a bit of a challenge for him. And there, here's the point I'm trying to make in a long, windy way, Jed. It feels to me like the magic's gone a little bit. You know what I mean? It feels to me like the feeling that we had about what he could become, you would still have to say he's a good fighter. You cannot just say Manuel Torres has a very simple matchup. No, that's not the case. But the guy, like the way in which your imagination let you feel about him, I feel like that, if not certainly deteriorated, might be all the way gone.
Yeah, I mean, he just hasn't delivered anything for you to gravitate to in forever, right? Like, he lost his UFC debut, then the Jacasey, the guy with the Mohawk thing, like, he was like, ooh, yep. Look at him. Look at him. He's like cool out there doing Matrix shit. And then he had a run of like 5 fights where he just got a bonus because he was nuking people. I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. Like, he's really cool. He's going to be the new vanguard of lightweight. He's going to be in that mix. And he never got there. And maybe he still can, we can't totally write him off, but like his last exciting, wowing performance was RDA. He had a decent, like he had a good fight with Justin Gaethje, their first fight, but like he ended up losing. And then since then, his one win is Ignacio Bahamondes, right? And that's a good win, frankly, but he doesn't have the magic. It did not look like, oh, here's the dude who's awesome. It's like, oh yeah, he's still a very, very competent striker. I agree with you. I think he's a little more hittable. I think he just has a little bit more issues controlling range. He's still got pretty good head movement, like when they get inside, but like maybe it's just that he's lost some of his explosiveness post knee injury. But yeah, like he hasn't given Fiziev fans anything to get excited about in a really long time. And this is a matchup where he should give them that, right? Like he can lose, make no mistake. Manuel Torres might just dump him. But Manuel Torres is very hittable. And so like if Fiziev wins a solid but lackluster decision, like that's pretty tough. He needs to get a win that gets you back on his side and be like, yeah, that guy should fight for a belt one day. He's got to get there, but he's still got it,
Yeah. The odds on this one from our friends from DraftKings is Fiziev at -108, Manuel Torres at -112. Long Island Luke, how do you interpret the odds on a fight like this?
I thought before I did any research that Fiziev would be like, I don't know, -170, get like Manuel Torres like +145, something like that. So when I saw it was a pick'em, I was kind of pleasantly surprised, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll take I keep saying Rafael Fiziev. But the more I do a little research, I'm getting more and more nervous about that pick, and I was hoping the odds would sway back to him as a favorite, but they've kind of stayed at pick'em odds all week. So I'm a little nervous about it, but I feel like otherwise, like the safest bet on this is probably like fight does not go the distance. Like I feel like an over 1.5 would be sweaty as hell too. Manuel Torres, 20 pro fights. I think he's only been past the first round once, something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, this probably doesn't last long. It's just who's going to get put out first. So we'll see.
Let's talk about Manuel Torres then. How high are you on him?
I think he's going to be a really fun action fighter who never fights for a title. Like that's sort of how I feel. And how old is he? I'm gonna look this up right now.
31.
He's 31. Then yeah, I feel even better about that. If he was like 28, it'd be like, okay, there's a little time there. But like Long Island said, he's had 20 fights. He's been out of the first round one time. Like I do think that since losing to Bahamondes, so we've got MMA math here, but since losing to Bahamondes, he has felt a little bit more patient, whereas like his early UFC fights, he's just going to run at you and swing, and then you fall over and die. Against Bahamondes, that didn't work. And so I think he's been like a little bit, just a baby bit more measured. He's still getting first-round finishes, but like he's not completely reckless, but I don't think he has the defense to like have long-term success at the highest level because you have to be a better defensive fighter than that. Maybe he still has time to develop some of that, but without it, I don't think he's a realistic title challenger. But who cares? You can just be fun as hell. And that's an awesome career to have. And every time he lines up to fight, you're going to have something cool happen. So like that's, he can be a top 15 guy.
The odds makers are saying he's more than entertaining. They're saying that his chance of winning is just as good as Fiziev's. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd slightly favor Fiziev stylistically, but like 60-40, I'm not talking 80-20 here or whatever. Like I slightly favor Fiziev as the more technical striker. I know he did just get knocked out by Ruffy, but if you go back and watch that, Ruffy lands incredibly cleanly on him, and Fiziev still has his wits-ish about him. Like he doesn't go down and die. I don't think Manuel Torres is bringing the same sort of like one-punch power that Ruffy is, even though he's quite powerful. So slightly favor Fiziev, but like, again, this is, I think Torres can get into that top 10 by being super exciting. The top 5 is where I think he's going to struggle against the very, very best in the business.
I don't know, man. I mean, the thing is, like, I look at this matchup and I'm like, Fiziev just has more dynamic tools and more of them. Like the ones that he has can do more, and then he's just got more of them. Like I just feel like that's the case, but I just don't know if he's damaged goods at this point. That's the kind of the part for me that I really can't get over. Torres, to me, I think the thing that's interesting about him is that I feel like his weapons are relative to Fiziev limited. But the one thing I will give him is his boxing in the pocket is a lot more clever than I thought. Like he was able to knock out Dober by getting him to commit to a parry and then boom, brought the 2 down the line and knocked him down. Or in the case of what was the fight he had after that?
Dawson.
Oh yeah, against Grant Dawson, where Dawson overcommits, he jabs him and then throws and then goes to the opposite stance immediately and then cracks him in a way where Dawson never sees it coming. It's clever. It's very, very clever. He's able to do that very, very easily and smoothly and instinctually. And I think that will serve him well, whether he's pursuing or not. But I don't know. Long Island, are you taking Fiziev or are you taking Torres?
I got the bet on Fiziev. I'm taking Fiziev, baby. Round 2 knockout. Let's go.
Round 2. All right.
Jack Slack did a thing on Manuel Torres. If you haven't read it this week, Luke, I encourage you to do so because it was like pretty interesting. Was like, and I like he put into words a sort of feeling I'd had watching it, where it's like Manuel Torres seems like he should be a better fighter than he is. Not that he's a bad fighter, but like he feels like he intuitively understands fighting. But there are just some problems that he hasn't quite put all the pieces together. And if he does, like, then he's hell on wheels. But like, he's still super gifted offensively. And if Fiziev is kind of over the hill here, then this gets really bad in a hurry for him. I just think Fiziev still has a little bit of juice.
The stats on Manuel Torres are hilarious. So, like, for example, for Fiziev, his average fight time is 12 minutes and 4 seconds. That's about right. I mean, usually it's, it can vary, but
2.5
rounds. More than 10 minutes is very common. I'll just put it that way. For Manuel Torres, it's 2.5 minutes. I'm not sure I've seen that before from a guy who's headlined a UFC main event. I mean, I guess maybe Francis at his peak at heavyweight, like something like that.
He's had like 7 fights in the UFC too, man. That's a lot. That's some Terrence McKinney shit.
Yeah. And by the way, they both absorb roughly similar amounts of strikes. Fiziev at 4.84 strikes absorbed per minute. Torres at 4.08. But the big difference, and of course this comes from some of the wars he's had, but Manuel Torres strikes landed per minute 7.29. That is just, and anything over 4.5 is really, really, really high. And here you have it 3.93 knockdowns.
When your average fight time is 2 minutes, your strikes per minute are going to be quite high.
Yeah. So I'll say this, man. I think if I want to listen, I'm going to be a pussy and pick Fiziev. I don't have the guts to go with the semi upset pick, because again, is it really upset? Depends. But I'll say this, dude. I hope, and I know the odds speak to this, but I just think it's worth articulating. Torres winning this should absolutely not be a surprise at all. Like, this dude is, I think for me, surprisingly clever, and I think there's really the matchmaking here is kind of interesting. I don't know how much promotional sizzle it has, Jed, but it's got it's a thoughtful pairing, and I appreciate it on that level.
It's a good fight, man. And it's Baku. You take him. That sort of makes sense. Like, I don't agree. This is not selling out. They're going to a pretty big arena. I doubt that thing sells out, though I haven't looked at the seating. What's the Gimnasio? What the fuck is it called in the Baku arena? I can't remember off the top of my head. It doesn't matter. But it's a good fight. I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm disappointed that you are begrudgingly supporting the year of the Unk as it rolls on. Justin Gaethje beat Ilia Topuria. All the old people are going to win the rest of the year. That's where I'm at right now. If it's an old version, and I know that technically this isn't a huge age gap, but one dude's been in the promotion for a decade and the other dude's been here for 2 years or whatever. Give me the Unk every time at this point.
I don't hate Unks, but I like it when Unks get slept too. I mean, I'm an equal opportunity hater, I suppose. All right. Let's go to topic number 3, which is basically the rest of this card, main and preliminary card. For starters, Let's just throw the card up. I think we have a graphic. This is the card as we currently understand it. As we've just indicated, you've got Fiziev and then you've got Torres in your main event. Your co-main event, very quickly, we'll go through some of these, is Michel Pereira taking on Shara Bullet. Also on the card, Nazim Sadikov taking on Mateus Camilo. Asu Almabayev taking on Charles Johnson, which we're definitely going to talk about. And then some other interesting ones along the way, Bruno Ferreira and Ikram Alaskarov, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Let's get to the breakdown here. First things first, looking at this card overall. And by the way, the Colombian dude Reyes on this is also a kind of a big deal actually in Colombia, surprisingly. Anyway, give me a rating on the card. Yeah, he's not bad. Give me a rating on the card.
Slightly above average roadshow. Depending on how critically you want to view it, you could go like a pretty par roadshow, right? Like, because we know at this point there's tiered events. Apex is dog water. They take it to a local arena somewhere. It's going to be slightly elevated. Number of events are the top dogs. I think this is a little bit better than your average one because there are 3 fights on this card that I love. And then there are several others that either have a name bout, like a name brand attached to it that's meaningful, or like slightly above average, pretty good, interesting to some degree. So like, I'm pretty excited about this one. I wouldn't, I'm not UFC White House excited, but like, good card. I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think that I think you're right. It's a step up from the Apex for sure. Not my favorite on the road fight night, but not
it's
a
like,
collection of
it's
scrubs.
Like better than St. Louis or whatever the shit they've done before.
Totally. All right, so let's talk about the co-main event. You got Michel Pereira taking on Shara Bullet. All right, so there's a few questions we have here, and I want to go in either direction here. Actually, I want to go in both directions, but let's start with the Michel Pereira angle. Like, here's a guy who started out as the biggest donk in the sport, who has become less of a donk. However, while he is coming off a win over Zach Reese, remember, he was three losses in a row prior to that. Fluffy Hernandez, okay, Fluffy's really good. Then Abus Magomedov, who's not as good as Fluffy. And then Kyle Dawkins, who I do respect, but Kyle Dawkins finished him off in 43 fucking seconds. He rescued himself against Zach Reese, but barely. It was a split decision. Is the train coming off the tracks here, Jed Meshew?
Yeah, I'm not even entirely sure he should have beat Zach Reese. So, which is a shame because I know that you are just the fun police. You hate joy and exciting, interesting.
You like it when
weirdos.
you're like, yo, I like it when fighters fight bad. That's what I like. And I don't like that.
I've seen enough fighters be good. It's more fun to see fighters be weird. And Michel Pereira, especially, like, we only got a glimpse of it in the UFC. Because if you watch this dude on the regional circuit, he was an absolute psycho. Like, he was the dumbest fighter alive, and it rocked. It was so, like, he constantly would do backflip guard passes, which are just him kneeing, doing illegal knees on the ground, which is sick. Like, that's a great gimmick or whatever. He was full bozo on the regionals. And then he tried to be full bozo in the UFC, and he immediately gassed out and lost. And then he got a little bit boring. And there have been moments where he's let the bozo back out. And now I think he's just cooked, right? Like, he's probably should be on a 4-fight losing streak. The guys he lost to are okay, but like, he doesn't seem to wear damage that well. His move up to middleweight made sense and initially had some success, but now it just seems like the wheels have completely come off the train for him. And it's sad. I also think this is a bad matchup for him just in general, but the best I can hope for is he lets the bozo out a little bit and we have some fun before he gets put down.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is, like, it's to your point, like, if a guy develops a style and an identity in the way in which he pursues fighting, like, of course, you have to refine it. Like, you cannot just let it be what it is. But if you just utterly make it what it was never, ever thought to be, and if you just change the way a guy competes already once the point where he's got this kind of identity about himself, it can really just destroy the whole thing. He is defensively poor. He is very, very hittable, and he just doesn't.
Sure is.
Yeah, he just doesn't use his athletic gifts anymore in any kind of an interesting way. Like, he's obviously very, very athletic, but it just feels to me like a lot of that is really lost somewhere in translation now that he's trying to fight a very conventional style. Conversely, Shara Bullet, I mean, what do you want to say about him here, Jed, because on the one hand, still no one would dispute he is not a fun striker. But remember, he had a little early intrigue about what he could be. And I think most people kind of realize he's not going to be that. But he definitely can be there for a fun time. Is the idea to kind of serve up a fun striker in Chara Bullet against a now conventionally hittable guy in Michel Pereira, and then just get, kind of not engineer a knockout per se, but, kind of lead the bout in one direction?
You're engineering a knockout, and that's fine. Chara Bullet, I was thinking about this, like, in the build up to the show, like, and he might be the hardest guy for me on roster to have a vibe on of like, not what he is. I think that's pretty obvious for most who like have eyes, but like, what does the UFC, do they have plans? What do they think of him? Because he came in and was immediately like, he didn't come off Contender Series. I'm like 95% certain that that's true. But he came in and was like, yeah. And immediately he had a little bit of a following already and was like, okay, they're going to try and push him. And maybe it was limited by the fact that he can only compete in certain spaces. And so like that does minimize how frequently he can compete or whatever. But like he was still getting a little bit of a push. He loses to MVP, which was always a weird fight. And then it's like very underwhelming against Marc-Andre Berrio. And they're like, I don't know what to do with him. So like he is a guy who felt like when he came in that they were going to give him like, let's push him. Let's see if he can get to a title. And it sort of feels like they've just given up and now he's just a dude around. But maybe that's the point of this fight is like, all right, let's get him an exciting KO. Cause he had a bunch of bonuses when he first started, right? In the UFC. So it's like, let's get him back to that. And then we can push him again. I don't know. I genuinely don't really know what to make of this dude and like his career. It's very strange to me.
To me, this just feels like it's Magomedov's fight to lose. DraftKings has him as a minus 395. Michel Pereira at plus 310. I got to tell you, I think that sounds right. You can see that Pereira does go for takedowns. He averages 1.21 per 15 minutes. So he'll probably maybe get one or certainly try for one, but it's not like he's not like an overwhelming takedown prowess. And Magomedov's takedown defense is not like the best I've ever seen, but it's good enough, certainly to keep this fight standing long enough to have then a stand-up advantage. I don't know, a strange matchup, but I think one where they're just trying to, get a knockout as best they can, or put the fight in a direction where that is possible. All right. Also on this card, I'm going to jump around a little bit. The fight that I like the most is the Asu Almabayev fight at flyweight. Freaking love this fight, taking on Charles Johnson. Almabayev on a bit of a roll, at least a decent win streak as he heads into this contest, 23-3. His last couple of wins, Jose Ochoa and Alex Perez, and he beat him in the by submission in round number 3. Charles Johnson, what do you say? He's up, he's down, he's up, he's down. He beats the best guys, he loses to other ones, but you can never, ever look past him. Size this fight up for me. How do these two match up?
This fight it's probably not the main event's probably the best fight on the card. This is either second or third. Like I said, there are 3 fights that I think are absolute rip-shitting cool on this card, and this is one of them. Charles Johnson is also a little anomalous, right? Because he has knocked out the current flyweight champion and one of the top contenders in the weight class, but also was like kind of run over by Cody Durden. Not that Cody Durden's a bad fighter, but it's just like these two things are incongruous. They do not match together. And so when he's on or when a style matchup favors him, he can really look good. He never really looks good because he will always have the haircut. And so he does not look good because of that. But as a fighter, his peaks are high. His valleys are kind of low. And Almabayev feels like the opposite, where he's right in here, like his floor is pretty high. His ceiling is not particularly high. Stylistically, it's a great matchup. Like we've seen Charles Johnson, like he's not the best wrestler, despite like having a USA wrestling tattoo or whatever. Like he gets taken down a fair amount. That's obviously Almabayev's game, but Charles Johnson can fight really long. Almabayev is pretty small for this weight class. Even he's like 5'4". So I think the general dynamic striker versus grappler here, but like the swings of what Charles Johnson can be make this really compelling of like, how is this going to play out? Is he going to be able to stuff takedowns and like land shots at range? I'm not really sure. The odds are pretty wide on this one too. So wider kind of than I think I would have imagined, but yeah, this fight's awesome, dude.
Yeah, Almabayev minus 270, Charles Johnson plus 220. It seems a little closer to me as well, although I would probably favor Almabayev. His stats are remarkable. I mean, this is kind of the point that you make about, I think, why his ceiling is not as high as, you know, the general level of his ability kind of like maybe would indicate. You know, strikes landed per minute, 2.31. That is anemic. And by the way, strikes absorbed, 1.99. So he has a positive differential barely. But if you're in the twos, the low twos at that is just, there's not a lot happening there. But conversely, though, takedowns per 15 minutes, 4.46. I mean, absolutely dominant, at least in securing one, if not so much top control, though at times he can get that as well. He does have a loss in his last 5 fights to Manuel Kopp, but Manuel Kopp has a claim at being the best fighter in this division, or at least, you know, pretty close to it. So really, is it oversimplified to call it striker grappler?
Maybe very, very slightly, but no. Like if this stays on the feet, Charles Johnson, if most of this fight's on the feet, Charles Johnson has won. I know Almabayev did get a finish. Was it his last one that he got the guillotine in?
He got a guillotine, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
in transition.
like he's in general not like really finishing fights like that. So if he can get a bunch of takedowns, he's going to win. You know, he's going to Cody Durden, Charles Johnson. And if he can't, he's probably going to get tagged up on the feet. So yeah, it's basically a striker v grappler.
Sorry, I have family who just came over here. A little bit distracted.
Let him in the show. Come on.
No,
let's mix things up.
No,
what does your family think about Asu Almabayev? Could they pick him out of a crowd?
I don't know if they could pick me out of a crowd, much less Almabayev. I mean, let's be honest about that. In any event, this is a super, super fun one. For Johnson, he has won and lost in succession for the last more than 5 fights. So his last one, he won, which means if the pattern repeats, it would be a loss in this particular case.
Loss.
I guess we'll have to see. All right. Also on this card, Nazim Sadikov taking on Mateusz Camilo. I got to tell you, Sadikov, who's from Azerbaijan natively, it just feels like a setup fight to me for him. I don't know. Mateusz Camilo to me does not have a strong offensive identity.
I think that that's broadly true, but Sadikov is not like the best grappler, right? And Camilo on the feet is either way too tepid or way too reckless. Like there's not like a in between. He either doesn't just like lightly puts a jab out, or he swings as hard as he possibly can wildly. But like he wants to get takedowns. And, you know, we did see Sadikov, very different styles, whatever. But like for us, kind of did what he wanted to on the ground against Sadikov in that fight. So like there's a world where Camilo can hit some takedowns and make this interesting. But from what I've seen of Camilo's wrestling, it has not, like he took down Slava Claus because everyone takes down Slava Claus, but it has not inspired me greatly. So yeah, I do mostly think this is a setup fight for Sadikov, but Camilo's like, he's not dead money, you know, like he will compete.
Long Island, just to backtrack on something real quick on the Almabayev fight. He loses to Kopp via eye poke, right? How was that? Refresh my memory. How was that fight going before that?
I'm just being biased because if you remember at the end of 2024, I picked Asu Almabayev to be the dark horse of flyweight. He was unranked at the time. So I've forever just been rooting for him to climb the rankings. He got that main event against Manuel Kopp. I think he was down 2-0 on the scorecard.
He was getting the shit tuned out of him.
Yeah,
I was about to say, did I misremember that?
Was an eye poke. That's all I'm saying, man. Very controversial. But
all right. Fair enough. I don't have a great degree of thought about this one. I don't know what the stakes would be for Sadikov other than, you know, it's important for him to win in front of his people, I suppose, like it would be for any other person. But it's just a 55 fight to me. Slightly more interesting, Bruno Ferreira taking on Ikram Aliskerov. Aliskerov in this particular case is 33, so he's not super over the hill. So he is coming off of back-to-back wins over Andre Muniz and Jun Young Park. He hasn't fought since 2025. in October. This will be his first one back. Bruno Ferreira, has certainly looked dangerous at times, but, obviously he's coming off of that really bad loss to RoboCop, although he beat Marvin Vettori before that. Size these two up for me.
I mean, Alaskarov probably should win, but he can be a little rote. And the one thing that Bruno Ferreira can do is throw a counter, right? Like he can throw a counter real hard. And, in Alaskarov's one UFC loss, he just ate a clean punch from Rob Whittaker and died. And it's probably unlikely. I think he can just throw the jab a bunch and then hit some takedowns on Ferreira, and that's the game. But this is objectively a fine fight. Two top. I think Alaskarov is ranked in the UFC right now. Two top 20-ish middleweights competing, but it doesn't get me super jazzed about it. I don't know.
I've wanted Alaskarov to be more than he has been. And he's been decent, but he's not been great. And I don't mean great as in the highest level, but I mean really kind of delivering on becoming a contender who moved through the rankings. That didn't really happen. But I still think he's dangerous. That's the interesting part. It's not like he's not skilled. And I think to that point, the takedown into submission, remember he got arm triangled by Abus Magomedov not too long ago, and I think Alaskarov's a lot better than him. So something to pay attention to there. Long Island, let's bring you in on this one. What else on this card stands out to you for its beauty and its glory?
I mean, we got to shout out my boy Abdul Rahman. Is that even his name? Yakyayev, that guy? Yeah, Abdul Rahman Yakyayev.
Dude, nobody loves Yakyayev more than you.
That guy's a fucking hammer. I think he's also
pretty fun, man.
I think he was my dark horse of light heavyweight. So hopefully he gets
insane.
ranked. After beating Juicebox Julius Walker here. What else we got on this card, man?
The Javier Reyes fight. I'm telling you,
how'd you say his name earlier? Reyes?
Reyes. Yeah, that's how my wife would say it. She would roll the R because the word starts with an R. That's when you roll it, and then they say Y's, like we say English J's. So
Dominic Reyes.
Yeah. But Reyes, yeah, dude, this guy gets a lot of run in Colombian sports media, way more than I've seen other Colombian fighters get. So kind of an interesting little side note there for him.
Yeah, he's taking on Khan Offley, former tough veteran. He's looked okay. He moved to City Kickboxing a few fights ago. I think he's won 2 in a row. Daniil Donchenko, another tough guy in the fight before that. He looked like a hammer his last couple of fights out. I think
he won tough, Offley lost tough.
Yeah,
give the man his credit.
Good point. Bekzat Almakhan. I was high on him a while back, but he's lost a few in a row. He's kind of like knockout or bust, taking on John Matsumoto, who is a good striker. So I feel like John Matsumoto's probably going to win that one.
That fight bangs so hard.
Hell yeah.
That fight is the other good fight on this card.
You already know.
Did you say?
The Bekzat Almakhan, Jean Matsumoto fight. They're both just Bekzat is 1-2 in the UFC, but he fought the other Topuria, who's quite good, and his debut was against Umar. That's
and he looked good against Umar. Remember, didn't he drop
he did.
Umar early? Yeah,
he's his win was Brad Katona. He beat Brad
knocked
Katona,
out Brad Katona.
Yeah, and he demolished him just over a minute.
Yeah. Bekzat's game is kind of funky and super good, and John Matsumoto is. I really loved him coming off Contender Series. He's 3-2, but both of his losses were split decisions. I thought he won both of them. I think most people believe that Rob Font beat him, and so I'm in the minority on that one. Totally fair. I thought he beat the Basharat brother in his last one, and he's just really good, man. I think this fight is super high level, awesome.
Hell yeah! I'll be live for the full card.
It's the second fight of the night.
Well, I'll be live for the first fight of the morning, Jed, 9 a.m. sharp. So be there or be square.
Damn, my man's like, yo, fuck my girlfriend.
Put in the work.
BC's like anytime. You know what I mean?
Oh,
all right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's so many stories I could tell. All right, let's go to topic number 4 here, if we can. And this is something where Jed has apparently brought some receipts, so I'm very, very curious to pitch this question to him. So the UFC rolled out basically its new model of fighter rankings. And what we know about them, we've seen some of the updated results, and we'll get to those in just a second. But what we understand is people think it's going to be an AI thing. Well, they used AI to come up with the model, although it's basically like kind of like an ELO model. It's just now maintained by math. There is no more additional artificial intelligence input. It's just now a system that can run by itself. Again, kind of like an ELO model. We saw some big winners. We saw some big losers in some changes. Let me just ask a broad-based question here to start, Jed. Do these changes look like an improvement to you over the existing system? And if so, why?
As yes and no. Like I'm equivocating like a motherfucker. I think that there are some things like it's as I really dug down into. It's like, oh, I see like some of structurally how this has changed in a way that I think is positive, right? Like the biggest losers of this end up being like guys who haven't won in a long time, but are maybe higher in the rankings because of name value and they have some significant wins many years ago, right? And so I think that like some of that is pretty good. I also think that like some of it's obviously silly on its face. Like there are things that you could nitpick, but that also happened in the media rankings. I'll say that it's a slight, like if I had to choose between the two of them, I would still pick the media rankings, even with their many foibles. But this is also the very first iteration of this, and you give it a little bit more time. Maybe it ends up developing to something, a little bit better as it goes along. But like my biggest takeaway looking at the difference between the two is there aren't that many differences, like not big differences. Most of them it's a couple of fighters moving one or two spots, nothing like structurally huge. You got to a very similar space with both of the media and the meta rankings.
All right, we have this graphic that it's a little hard to read because there's kind of a lot going here, but it's basically every men's division from flyweight to heavyweight. And Long Island, the idea is that the ones in yellow got either added or got moved up, or the ones in blue got moved. Sorry, blue. What am I saying? Red,
green, and
got
red
moved down.
It might look yellow, but yeah. So the green ones, aka the top 4 fighters of each division, you could see there. Some of them went from, like Kevin Borjas went from unranked to number 10, Mitch Raposo unranked to number 11, vice versa. Then if you go to the bottom half, you can see Tim Elliott went from number 12 to unranked and stuff like that. So it basically just shows where every fighter ended up before and after.
Okay, so Jed, looking at some of these changes where in certain cases, I think the climb for some is great and the drop for others is justified. But there's a lot of fighters who have complained about, like, for example, you've got Blachowicz and Guskov fighting again and their roles reversed in terms of their rankings. Angela Hill got booted from the rankings altogether. We don't see that here, but she was kind of upset about it. Like, so who are the big winners in this system and who are the big losers such that we can tell thus far?
The big, like in a very broad sense, the big losers are fighters who have not competed. And like, if you listen to the way they set it up, like they value activity, right? So that makes sense. Like I went through it. I didn't have that wonderful graphic, which would have been super helpful, but I was just kind of like looking at who were the actual mathematic, like who gained the most or lost the most spaces. It's not exact because, like, to Long Island's point, some of these people were unranked and then moving into a ranking. By my count, 5 fighters moved 10 spots or more, either up or down across the men's and women's weight classes. 2 of them are real weird in that Alex Pereira and Zhang Wei Li were both very highly ranked in weight classes they competed in once and lost, right? Like both tried to win another belt, both lost. I think Pereira was 4, right? Which is somewhat insane that's what the meta rankings decided to do with him. Zhang is also like 3 or 4 at flyweight, which is like she lost to Valentina. I'm not sure how we get to that number. But outside of those 2, the actual biggest movers, Raquel Pennington is the single biggest mover. She dropped 13 spots because she went to number 15 in the women's bantamweight rankings, and she was, number 2 or whatever in the media rankings. Jan Blachowicz also dropped 11 spots. He was very high in the media rankings. He's right near the bottom of the top 15. And out of nowhere, Piero Rodriguez moves up from unranked to like the top 6, which is pretty nuts.
How is that possible?
I genuinely do not know. Like, I guess it is purely an activity based thing, but like Long Island, do you have the graphic? Pull the graphic back up.
I don't think we have one for the women.
Oh, you don't have one for the women? Oh, okay. Yeah, but Pierre Rodriguez is, what's her ranking? She's number 6 in the meta strawweight rankings, which is like insane that she's unranked in the media rankings. It's like, okay, I guess. And you've got some others that people noted, like Pat Sabatini and Nathaniel Wood are both pretty high up the bantamweight ranking or featherweight rankings. But like, yeah, it's my biggest takeaway is that the biggest movers were people who got highly or mid-level ranked from unranked that you probably don't think, like, intuitively, should Nathaniel Wood really be number, what is he? This graphic is hard to read.
He's number 9.
Number 9. Like, he should probably be ranked. 9 feels a bit high for him. You don't have the women's graphics up there. Melissa Croden is like pretty decently ranked there. So like there's some of those. She's number 9 as well, where you've got people who just have been active over the past 18 months is sort of how it looks, got bumped up. And that's the part where I'm like, I don't love that. But like, I don't have a huge issue with, fighters not being that active, losing some position, like I think Rocky Pennington probably shouldn't be 15. She probably shouldn't be 3 or whatever, because she hasn't fought in 2 years, like these. So I honestly think the best answer is somewhere between the two paths, but maybe we get there in a little bit of time with the meta rankings.
I was going to say, to what extent, I mean, this is just the first one, and I think that they'll tweak the model because they've got a percentage system that they've kind of built out, but they can change that relationship. Do you feel confident that that can change in a way that, again, is everyone always going to be happy with the rankings? Of course not, but get it to a place that is a little bit more coherent than, I'm not saying that the first results were all terrible. I'm simply saying an improved version of that going forward.
Yeah. And like, I think that, yes, I do have some level of confidence that it'll at least get a little bit better. And like one of the obvious low hanging fruits or whatever is just to tweak their algorithm where if a fighter has a win over another fighter recently, right? Like, because I totally think it's viable to be like, okay, Charles Oliveira does have a win over Justin Gaethje. It was many years ago. Maybe that expires because that's how ELO works, right? Like that doesn't carry over forever, right? But like one of the ones that I saw pointed out a lot is Arnold Allen is above Jean Silva. Like that fight happened very recently. We saw it happen. There's no reason for that ranking to be that way. And so I think that there are small tweaks that would make it even look a little cleaner. And then, you just twist the dials on how much you're weighting activity. So because again, I don't think it's that bad for new blood to enter the rankings, but I do think it's a bit ridiculous for Pat Sabatini to be the 7th ranked featherweight in the world,
Long Island, did you notice anything in these rankings that, good or bad, caught your attention?
I mean, Pat Sabatini was like literally the first thing I noticed. I was like, what the fuck is that? But one thing I feel like I don't think you guys mentioned was Quillen Salkeld moving up to 8. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be, but he's above Patty, and someone else was below him that I was like, that's a little interesting, putting Quillen above Patty. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's also a fun matchup, by the way, if they want to make that fight ever. I know Patty's fighting BSD in like 2 weeks.
I actually think that's totally fine. Patty hasn't really beaten a lot of good people.
What's Patty's best win? Michael Chandler?
Probably.
King Green?
Bobby Green, yeah.
Bobby Green might be. It's like one of those two. So like, yeah, I don't have any issues.
Who did Quillen just beat?
Beneil.
That's a better win.
Yeah.
It is a better
that's
win.
a good point.
Even this stage of Beneil, that's still a better win.
Yeah, even sort of a troubled version. Now, let me ask you about like keeping the human rankings going. How long do you think they'll keep that up? Because I mean, right now you can look at it, and to your point, maybe you like the human rankings a little bit better, maybe you like the mathematical ones a little bit better, or maybe you take a third position, which is the one you've kind of indicated, or somewhere in between maybe is the sweet spot. They pledged to keep it around, but we're not exactly sure for how much longer. What do you anticipate they'll do?
My guess is they'll keep it around until they feel like that they've worked out all the kinks of the meta ones. And that's like, this is essentially a product rollout, and nobody ever rolls a product out and it's perfect. So fine with this. We talked about it a little bit off air where I am interested to see how this shakes out, right? Where it's like Rafael Fiziev is unranked in the meta rankings. He's ranked in the media rankings. When he walks out tomorrow, will the number next to him, like, will he have the number 11 next to him, which I believe is his media spot? Currently on the UFC homepage, like for the event page, he's ranked. Do they just pick the higher of the two numbers? Because that also could be funny in that there's a world where you have two dudes ranked the same, depending on like how a matchup might shake out. I think they're just going to keep it around for a little bit until they feel that they've worked all the kinks out, and then they can just move on to the AI rankings or whatever. And I got no issues with that. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll say about the rankings, and this is not an argument that like I'm really just, dying to have anymore. I guess it just nobody cares. But like, I don't think the UFC, I want to be very clear about this. I don't think they made these rankings to be like, we're going to use this to really stick it to the fighters. I don't think that. I think what they're trying to do is actually solve a problem that there's a lot of discontent around the rankings, and for in many cases very good reasons, right? Like I sort of get it. They're trying to solve a problem, and I mean that, and I think that they're trying to do that forthrightly. But like just baked into their DNA is control of everything. They like, it was really weird for me, Jed, when Dana was like, the fans should pick the matchups, and I'm like, this is y'all's ranking, bro. Like this is your algorithm. This is your proprietary rankings. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is nothing to do with the fans. I mean, you might listen to them to make fights as a way to like, oh, what do the fans have demand for? Okay, fine. But that's got nothing to do with the rankings. Like this is y'all's rankings. You own this. This is for better, for worse. If it's a big success, you own it. If it's a big failure, you own it. It's yours. And I just think it's like that, shouldn't get lost. And more to the point, like inactivity is an interesting one for me, where I agree with you. It should be penalized. Like definitely, if you haven't fought in 2 years, why are you at the top of anyone's rankings? Simultaneously, it's like that's also something the promoter can control or have a heavy influence in at a bare minimum. And that could affect your ranking, which then affects what kinds of matchups you get. So like there's kinds of ways for the present power imbalances to bleed into the rankings, even in a not necessarily thumb on the scale directly kind of a way, that I just don't want folks to lose sight of. I mean, I know that no one gives a shit about this stuff anymore, but like, for those who do, just kind of something to pay attention to. That's all.
Yeah. I don't like, I might care more if the rankings mattered, but that's like the other part of this is that this year in particular, the UFC is just like, they are an extension of titles, and that they're just a thing, they're a promotional tool or whatever. We could put a number next to some guy because they don't give a shit. They'll put whoever in there against it. By the meta rankings, the Zahabi O'Malley fight was nonsense. Like Zahabi's like 12 or whatever. They just make the matchups they want to. So it's whatever. It does feel like they are overdoing this, but like everyone wants to use AI, so it's fine. You can get a headline, but like, I agree there's a problem that probably needed to be solved. I think they could have solved it by just having an intern do the rankings. Be like, freaking Pete does our rankings. If you had a problem, talk to Pete. Like just one dude does it, because it wouldn't be that hard if it was his only job to be like, this guy beat here. Here's the best effort. So, but it's something fun for us to talk about and to bitch about, certainly.
I do love doing that. All right, let's go to topic number 5 here.
You know you love to bitch about some stuff.
That's one of my favorite things. All right, let's go to topic number 5 if we can. I don't have a ton to say about this, but I do think we should say something. Eddie Hearn continues to make interesting news, ... in MMA. He signed Ian Garry. Now, Ian Garry is still with, what's that dude? Gary V's outfit.
Lloyd?
The management. Say again?
Isn't it Lloyd or something? Is this
no, like Vayner Sports? Isn't this Gary V? Gary Vayner, whatever the fuck his last name is?
Yeah, but isn't Ian's manager Lloyd something?
Oh, you mean personally? Yeah. Yes. I just know that in his social media post he had shouted out like, "Hey, my team at Vayner Sports is going to work with Eddie on this sort of like we're going to make the team bigger," because apparently what the deal relates to, Jed, is his commercial interests. So, it's not exactly like he's doing what Tom is doing, which is I think a broader set and a deeper set of services, managerial services that Eddie Hearn can provide. Nevertheless, I mean, if Ian Garry wins here, Jed, and I'm not predicting that, but I don't think that's also the craziest thing to imagine. Can you imagine Eddie Hearn having 2 UFC champions essentially having some kind of either agent or managerial role in their life. Like, how do you view this signing for Garry's interests, for Eddie Hearn's interests? Like, what does it all mean?
My genuine first reaction was I giggled because I was like, they announced this after. They waited until Garry Islam had been made official to announce that this happened. Maybe it's just a timing thing and it's coincidence, but that was very, very funny to me. Because, Ian Garry's no fool. He's not going to risk a title fight to do this. I don't really know what to make of it outside of like, it's just sort of a funny thing because on the one hand, this on paper doesn't have anything to do with his MMA career, like in practice in this part of it. And so like it shouldn't influence anything. It probably won't. But there's like an outside piece of me that just wonders if Eddie Hearn keeps building relationships with MMA fighters, even if those relationships are outside the scope of their fighter management, right? How long until Eddie Hearn is talking to him was like, instead of paying whoever your MMA manager, why don't you pay me and I'll manage your, like, how long until he starts to actually accrue a stable of fighters that he represents all of their interests in? And if he does, what does that end up looking like? Probably not a big deal, but maybe ultimately he becomes a little more antagonistic as a manager, which quite for like you're supposed to be. Management is supposed to have an adversarial relationship with the promoter because you're supposed to be fighting for your fighter's best interest. That is not always the case in the sport, certainly. But like if we get some, like if Eddie Hearn comes in and it does start to accrue things and he has champions under his stable, how does that look? This is all very hypothetical, very far future-y, but like I kind of want to see it. I would like to see that happen. I don't know if we ever will get there.
I want to interrogate that premise that like they got to be adversarial because I think that there is a meaningful distinction between adversarial and playing hardball. Like there's a couple of managers that I know that have managed either very, very popular UFC fighters and or UFC champions. And these were guys who like didn't have a bunch of clients. They had like one or two at most. And I watched the way that they operated, Jed, and like the thing that I learned from them was that they did not. I mean, again, they had very, at times they would have obviously a contentious relationship with UFC. On some level, it's actually quite unavoidable. However, they didn't seek that out as like a way of navigating the space. In fact, they would very rarely do any kind of media interviews, right? Like, whereas Eddie, as on his promotional role, is out here all the time. And then more to the point, like what I saw them do was very, very cleverly learn how to create a window for opportunity. And then when it came, how to play hardball to maximize it. But they didn't exactly seek conflict with UFC. And I don't know what Eddie and his team are doing behind the scenes, but I just know in front of the camera, it's very, very different. And if it is truly adversarial in a world where ultimately, they do hold the cards. I'm not saying that they have to become brokers like these managers that have like 100 clients and they don't give a fuck about any of them. That's not my point. But it's like, just given the reality of the system, what is the truly best way to navigate it? In terms of my lived experience, it's hardball, not adversary. How do you see it?
I think we see it the same way, but we have different definitions because like adversarial is just they are on opposite ends of interests. Like one guy wants X, one guy wants Y. Combative is like how I would sort of describe, I think, where you were taking my use of the word adversarial. And I will say that does seem to be where Eddie Hearn is right now with the UFC. And I don't think being combative is really ever productive, like for almost anything, but certainly not in collaborative efforts, which is basically what this is. If I don't know to what extent Eddie is that way behind closed doors, and like he has said things about Tom Aspinall in his career. I know he probably can't do half the things he says just as a function of the control the UFC exerts. But I just don't know. Like if he does get more fighters on the roster, maybe he has a little bit more control of his own and can choose to be a little bit more combative. Is that good? I don't know. We just really haven't seen a lot of people be combative or like that antagonistic towards the UFC when it comes to these things because they have so much leverage over fighters. I would love to see somebody get something out of the UFC because I think that's just better for all fighters. And Eddie Hearn is at least in a position to maybe shake the cage a little bit. I doubt it yields too much, but it would be something different than, oh yeah, you want 10-10 off Contender Series? Move on down the line. Sure. Like we got enough of that.
There was a graphic, I think you may have shown it, of Matchroom welcoming Ian. I think we have that here. And then there's this one. It's a quote from Eddie on maybe signing more talent. And this is from a translated tweet, but I've seen the actual one and it looks just basically the same. So, double check this, but the basic idea would be, quote, and this would be, of course, Eddie Hearn talking, quote, "We have about 100 UFC or MMA fighters who've come to us asking, how can we be represented by you? We're not just aiming to be a sports agency, but to represent tomorrow's big stars in sports and entertainment and not just in MMA. I know Ian's team. I've been watching him for a long time. I like this guy, his mindset, his personality. He's tall, handsome, and speaks well. He has all the qualities to become a superstar." I mean, it's definitely nice that you've got a manager out there taking a very public role and saying nice things, although I suppose that some of the other ones do it. I guess we'll just have to see how it goes behind the scenes, but it brings up the other part of the equation, which is that Tom Aspinall basically confirmed he is back in camp. Here's what he wrote, quite literally, on Twitter, quote, "Back in full training for the Cyril Gane fight, and we're currently in talks with the UFC. We filmed the Inner Game," he's talking about a podcast he's about to go on, "during my recovery between February and March, and those conversations genuinely helped me through a tough time. These episodes will be coming out over the next 12 weeks while I'm in camp. Hope you enjoy episode 1. I don't know if more information from Tom is exactly what the doctor ordered, but I guess like now that you've got Tom back in here, he's talking to UFC. What are you expecting in terms of Hearn-related friction in this process?
I think there won't be much, right? My guess is that there will be, they'll continue to take shots at each other publicly because the UFC holds all the cards. Like, I think ultimately Eddie Hearn is not an idiot. Whatever your thoughts on him, he's not a bozo. He recognizes he does not have a lot of leverage to exercise here. But I do think that the previous quote is the one that's what has my interest. I do not, like you have said many times, take anything that a promoter says with all the salt you can find, right? Like, these are people who lie. That is just part of the job. If it's true that like hundreds of fighters have reached out, like hundreds of UFC fighters have reached out to be an association represented by them, right? And if they do ultimately end up start accruing a real base, not just a 5 or 6, but you get like 100 guys on the roster, I mean, you need to, like, you're starting to get close to some sort of a collective that can bargain with legitimate power against the UFC in some like meaningful way. And so I don't think he's going to, sort of to your point of like adversarialness and picking your spots on when to do something. Now it would be very foolish for Eddie Hearn to start the battle with the UFC in such a situation. But like you amass resources, you get more fighters with you, you still have Tom as the heavyweight champion. Maybe something can happen. You can get a little bit more return for all of your fighters and specifically for Tom. I don't think that this will be any major issue. I suspect that by the end of the year, Tom Aspinall will fight Cyril Gane to unify their heavyweight titles.
I can't wait to see how it goes. I really can't wait to see how it goes. I think it'd be very fun. I like Islam, and I think he'll win, but it would be kind of funny if Garry wins and then Hearn. And then, by the way, let's say Aspinall comes back and beats Gane. Like, dude, Eddie Hearn's going to be sitting, right? He's going to be in good shape.
Sitting in high cotton, man.
Unbelievable. We're gonna call an audible here and do like a quick topic number 6. Normally we stop at 5, but I just want to make sure we at least touch on a couple of things that were happening. PFL, I really am trying to like what they're doing, but I don't feel like this card was promoted all that well, despite the fact that the main event is actually real good. PFL is at the Pechanga Arena in San Diego this weekend. It's going to be an ESPN. I think the prelims start around 7 p.m. if my understanding of it is that yes, that's right. Prelims at 7, and then I guess main at 10. But double check because that can change. Nevertheless, AJ McKee, who's been, kind of like the star of Bellator, and then now he's in PFL, at 145, taking on Salamat Isbulaev, if you might recall, who beat the dog shit out of Jesus Pinedo very quickly in his PFL debut. Dude, this fight bangs. I cannot believe how poorly this card has been promoted, but if you're gonna tune in, that's as quality a main event as you're gonna find outside of UFC.
Yeah, buddy, I'm rocking my PFL shirt. This card's very good. The co-main event's like pretty fun. Liz Carmouche still doing the thing. Viviana Araujo, very like a rock solid fight. Alexander Chablis, Alfie Davis is pretty good. Rob Wilkinson is back to have some fun and throw some hammers. Like pretty good PFL card. Again, don't know what they're doing promotionally. I work in the industry. I did not realize this event was happening until like Wednesday. And I was like, oh shit, like something's going on. I don't know how, but they've got to do better about that. But yeah, like this is among the best fights they can put together. And so, and they're not competing with the UFC, right? Like a Saturday night that they have functionally to themselves in the MMA space. Like this should be something they're really investing in, and it doesn't feel that way. But if you are watching this show, you're probably a hardcore fan, and you should absolutely tune in because look, the undercard is, there's some things they're just not like, it's a PFL undercard. We can only ask so much, but the top end of here is quite strong.
I mean, as you indicated, that main event with AJ McKee, and again, I know a lot of folks are not going to know who Isbulaev is, but the dude is real good. And not for nothing, McKee himself coming off of wins. He lost to Paul Hughes barely in 2024 as a split decision, and then since then he's beaten Akhmed Magomedov and then Adam Boric to come back to this position. So that's a hell of a contest. But dude, I mean, for me, that co-main event is also, as you indicated, real nice. Liz Carmouche, who very quickly, I want to remind everyone, won the 2025 PFL Women's Flyweight Tournament, beating Ilara Joan, Elora Donna, and then Jenna Bishop. Pretty fucking spectacular job by her. Araujo, formerly of UFC fame, lost her last one to Tracy Cortez, and then she did come back, or in her UFC, I should say, and then came back and won her PFL debut against Shayna Young. This is a fun fight, too, for as long as it's going to last. Carmouche, a minus 230 favorite. Araujo, plus 175. I cannot believe, dude, Ronda Rousey took 10 years off, came back. Carmouche never left.
Still just chipping away, man.
Fucking hard yards out here the whole time. You got to respect it, man.
The only criticism of this at all is like, I don't understand why Liz Carmouche is not fighting Dakota Ditcheva. Like PFL just keeps not making the very obvious fight, which is silly. But yeah, like Liz Carmouche rocks. Like she's still just chopping wood. Like that is a career anybody should respect. And by all accounts, pretty good person too. So like, yeah, the Araujo fight, again, it's not going to blow anybody's hair back, but it's a very, very solid match. And Carmouche has mostly been fun, especially in her PFL run. So like I said, really looking forward to PFL San Diego.
Yeah, and Alexander Chablis, as you indicated, taking on Alfie Davis. Both of them are coming off of losses to Usman Nurmagomedov, so kind of a common denominator there. And then not for nothing, but Zabit's younger brother, I think his younger brother, right? Hassan Magomed Sharapov. Yeah, he's the younger brother. He's on this card, undefeated as well. He needs a bit of a step up. I don't know if he's going to get it against Joshua Weems, but there you have it. That's kind of a fun one. And then last but not least, I just kind of really want to make a point of this. There is a really interesting boxing fight that's going to be taking place, 154 pounds, between Xander Zayas, as you can see there on the left, and then Jaron Boots Ennis on the right. Boots Ennis is a guy who you've been waiting to kind of turn the corner, take a big fight, turn the corner, take a big fight. Looked like he had all the talents in the world. He had to fight Chukadzan twice and beat him twice, although the second time was a little bit harder, even though it was a bit of a better fight. Staniosis he beat, but that was kind of expected. He's really not been able to like get a big name opponent. Zayas, just 23 years old, Jed, and I still don't think he's going to win this fight, but his level of and quality of recent work has kind of surprised me. He asked for this fight, so he's not in any way ducking smoke. It's going to be in New York City. I don't know why Boots is wearing a backpack here, like he's in between classes at university, but nevertheless, this one should be fun as long as it lasts. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I had to learn a little bit about Zayas because I'm not you know, I'm not BC. I'm not that into the boxing world. I'm a very casual boxing fan. You know who Boots Ennis is. He's been around for a hot minute. Zayas seems like he's really fun though, man. Like big dude comes forward, like cracks like that. This feels like a really good matchup for nobody to have, at least as I've seen, be talking about it. Yeah. I don't have much else to add beyond that.
Are you a DAZN subscriber?
Yes. I probably wouldn't be personally, but I am professionally.
Well, I mean,
there's just enough that we cover.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have a professional reason, first of all, I don't even know if I think mine have expired recently. I have to double check that, but I will say, dude, like Dana's criticism of DAZN and like how it just ends up being a black hole that all the promoters end up on. I feel like it's a very good criticism. Like, don't you like when these fights happen on DAZN, man? It just, if you're not locked in on boxing, and I'm not impugning the quality of this matchup. I think this matchup is actually pretty interesting. Although the rest of the card is just a bunch of squash matches in large part. But dude, when shit happens on DAZN, like unless it's the Pyramids of Giza, where it's like literally the fucking Pyramids of Giza, who knows about this shit? You know what I mean? It just like, the promotional effort just always seems missing to me.
Yeah, the promotional effort certainly seems down because yeah, on paper, it's like, man, there are like if you're just a boxing fan, you should just have DAZN. Because I mean, there's the Misfits bullshit that's on there too, but like you get everything just sort of does end up there. And it's, you know, it's not an awful platform as far as usage goes, but it does absolutely feel like just a void of interest, which I don't know how you get out of that. I don't know if that's a DAZN problem, if it's the promoters just not doing enough to sell this fight or all fights that end up there. But yeah, it is not a bad criticism whatsoever about DAZN.
All right. And that is the weekend. So we'll have some reaction to all of that on Monday's show. I mean, obviously, you know, if BC were here, we'd have a bigger boxing breakdown, but I only like boxing. I like, you know what? I don't want to say bullshit. That's not true. I actually do like boxing, but boxing fucking is boring right now. Like, can we just say that out loud? It's boring right now. I mean, there's a couple of interesting fights. Again, this main event.
They just had a fight at the Pyramids, Luke. What are you talking about?
Okay. I mean, right. I mean, a gimmick fight that ended up, you know, over delivering. I'll admit.
It was really fun. It was a really fun gimmick fight.
It definitely over delivered. I'm not shitting on it, but I'm just saying, like, generally like, dude, in 2023, boxing was on fire. It was like every other weekend was that matchup sick, that matchup sick. Now we get some, but everything in between just feels like a dead zone all the time. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a hater. I don't know. For
now, Zuffa boxing is going to save the sport, Luke.
Do you know they have a card on Sunday?
I do know they have a card on Sunday. Them doing cards on Sunday feels weird to me, but like, I mean, kind of makes sense, but it's also like, yeah. Sunday just doesn't feel like a fight week like day to me.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on it because I just don't really prioritize Zuffa boxing unless it's a particular fight I'm looking for. Although the main event for this one's actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie, but I don't. It's like
I think their product is ass.
The Zuffa boxing.
Yeah.
For now it is. But this card on Sunday is actually not that bad.
They can get better, but yeah, they've had like a couple of fights that are interesting, but it feels like very, very soulless for the most part. So they're early. We got time to maybe work on that, but yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's an accident, but okay. Putting that out of the way, that's it for our top 6 for this weekend preview. Let's now turn it over to our friend Long Island Luke for a little game we like to call, right? Better call y'all.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
We planned that to do that in unison. That was good. All right, LT, you're going to be up first here. You guys know the drill. Better call y'all. Present you with a scenario. You let me know who you're going to call in that situation, given 3.
The answer is my drug dealer. Go ahead.
All right, well, that will be one of them. LT, Father's Day did just pass. I'm sure Tukey got you something nice. What'd she get you?
She got me Star Wars stickers.
Oh, yeah, you showed those on your live chat.
Nice.
Yeah,
Little Yoda?
Those are pretty cool. Well, I got a
hold on. She made me a card. You ready?
Oh, that's great. That is fantastic.
How nice is that, right?
That's just It warms my heart, LT. I'll say
You're out
that.
there lying to your kid if she's proud of you. She doesn't know shit about you.
That was good.
Oh, she
right.
will.
Well,
This is only
LT,
temporary. You know what I mean?
next year she's gonna get you something even better because I don't know if you saw these, but they just released a Conor McGregor replica championship belt. Because what says Father of the Year like putting on a ton of weight, copious amounts of blow, and doing whatever the fuck you want? We all know you would rather get fucked to death by an 8-dick walrus than wear this, but I feel like you actually like the idea for some other fighters. So LT, which replica belt are you calling on for Tukey to get you next Father's Day? Is it Ilia Topuria, Israel Adesanya, or Joanna Jędrzejczyk?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how to answer this because
Can I ask
Wow.
a clarifying question?
Of course.
yeah.
So on the Conor McGregor belt, there are famous quotes. Does the Ilia belt have no moss on it?
It has no Mas. It has who's Joe. It has a bunch of just great
Jesus.
Ilia quotes on there.
I mean, I would just never wear or buy a replica belt under any circumstance.
That's why I have Joanna there, thinking, oh, you just take that and throw it right in the garbage.
Oh, you know what? I hadn't even considered that. That is
Yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah,
Yes.
so, all right.
So the answer would be Joanna. It'd get delivered, and I'd immediately punt that shit to the recycling bin.
All right. There you go. Good on you. Jed, did you see the viral video from the Knicks parade of this woman
God bless
No.
Knicks fans.
working
Oh
on
my
top of the crosswalk? Okay, now she starts arguing with this other woman here. I have it sped up in between all the bullshit. She sticks her hands in her face. Now this woman up top is like, oh, hell no. Comes down. Look at this one arm throw. Just boom, tosses her to the ground. We got alternate angles here coming up. But look, now she pulls down the pants.
lapel toss?
Starts smacking her ass. She's got on the fucking orange thong. She starts pulling the thong down. Now she's like, this isn't working. This woman,
She
just
goes
keeps
full
working.
Eileen Perez on her.
Watch her do the split here as the crosswalk changes to walk. Oh my God, epic timing there. This woman just continues to beat her. Watch when this girl gets down now, though. She's like, oh, you wanna fight? I'll show you how to fucking fight. Starts dragging her through the
Jesus.
mud. I mean, this was just absurd.
Wow, I've never seen the second part of this. That's
I
insane.
hadn't seen any of that. That
Absolutely
was a lot.
absurd.
You didn't see all that twerking? All that ass.
I mean,
Jesus.
naturally, that was the most New York thing ever. And it got me thinking there has to be a rematch, right? The amount of fouls in that fight, you got to do the rematch. So, Jed, who are you calling on to be the referee for Rumble in the Concrete Jungle 2 main event? Is it Mario Yamasaki, Herb Dean, or Steve Mazzagatti?
Dude, I haven't thought of Steve Mazzagatti in a hot minute. Man, the fact that Herb's the only of these three who's still working is impressive. I mean, you gotta let Herb cook, and Herb is just not going to stop these fouls. And I'm a big proponent of allowing cheating. So Herb Dean, because Yamasaki will stand him up as soon as he gets to the ground. We can't have that shit. And Mazzagatti just looks pass on Mazzagatti. Give me Herb Dean.
I'm with you on
Well, I
Herb.
mean, that was such the wrong answer. The answer was fucking obviously Yamasaki.
To just let it go forever.
Yeah, bro. It's the fucking streets. Like Yamasaki was built for this moment.
All right, that's a good point. That is a good point. All right, LT, I'm not sure if you heard, but the BCX is back. That's
I
right.
saw. Yeah.
BC relaunched the Brian Campbell Experience this week, counting down the top 50 albums of all time. He's basing them off of his own musical taste, but we know he likes a little bit of everything, and you've obviously rubbed off on him all these years. So some of your favorites are bound to make the list. So LT, which album are you calling will be top 10 on BC's list? Is it Eaten Back to Life, Butchered at Birth, or Tomb of the Mutilated?
Did you try to find 3 of the exact same album cover?
No, these are different
Cannibal
albums.
Corpse.
I mean, I know that they're technically different, but man, these are the same album cover.
Well, I think the issue is if you're talking about the motherfucking hits like I Come Blood and Hammer Smashed Face and shit like that, then there's only one answer. It's Tomb of the Mutilated. So That's the one
Honestly.
I'm making the call on. I can't get him to buy in unless you've got some memorable CC bangers on that bitch. And Tomb of the Mutilated is going to give me the best chance for that.
That's fair. Tomb of the Mutilated, also the most disturbing of the 3 album covers, if I'm being honest. But maybe that's just me.
No,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, they're all, just to be clear, they're all quite bad, except for like Kill and Red Before Black's not that bad, but like
The 2 on the left actually were like pretty good artwork. Not to my taste.
yeah,
per
this is
se,
all
but,
this is all early era Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, the one on
think
the
it's the
right
first 3.
feels like it's the weakest artistically and also the grossest.
Yeah, it's the grossest. That's really what it is. All right, Jed. Let's cleanse our palate on that. The World Cup is in full effect, and we're just finishing up the group
I'm
stage.
going to a game tomorrow, baby.
Let's go. This is perfect for this question because they've been hosting games throughout the U.S. Even our good friend Danny Segura was in attendance to cheer on LT's Colombians in Miami. But they've also been hosting games in Atlanta, Jed. You just mentioned it. We know you're a true patriot. And even though you totally disrespected LT's flag code with your USA outfit on the last pregame preview, it was an all-timer.
It's not LT's flag.
Yeah, I got to be clear. It's
That's
not my
federal
flag
government.
code. It
Enforces
is
it the most.
It is
Who
quite
enforces it?
literally the flag code.
All right, I'm just saying I've never heard of it until you brought it up. But, maybe that's just me being uncultured. I don't know, guys. But anyways, Jed, the U.S. not playing in Atlanta, unfortunately. But fortunately, you've been awarded free tickets to a game as long as you dress up in that country's attire and cheer them on. So, who are you calling on to be your new World Cup team? All these play in Atlanta, by the way. Saudi Arabia, Haiti, or Uzbekistan?
Oh, that's interesting.
Wait, what's the question again?
Who is he going to cheer for? He got free tickets to a game. Who's his
Bro,
new
you've
team?
literally got titties in the middle picture. How are we even debating what the answer is here?
Well, the answer is also Haiti, no matter what, because like Gaff's Haitian, we got to root for Haiti, right? But I
Fact.
feel
I
like
was just gonna say Haiti because Haiti just got fucked, and so I'll join the cause for a bit.
I know
but,
you were a
like,
big Ring magazine guy. I thought
Uzbekistan's
maybe
pretty
you
cool,
got-
man. It's like a pretty cool place.
That's what I mean. Bogdan Guskov, Nursultan Ruzaboyev fighting this weekend. He's Uzbeki.
But yeah, give me Haiti.
All right. That's fair. LT, you're going Haiti too because of the titties?
I mean, come on. Let me just. What are we talking about here?
All right. Sorry. Jeez. LT, the NBA draft was this week, and it reminded me of another great draft in the world of sports. The GFL draft. Remember when they leaked it before
What
it
a
even
draft.
got out?
Text
Oh,
here.
Oh, what could have been with all these athletes in their prime competing in a team format. They say it's still coming, so we'll keep waiting. And like most fans, I often find myself hypothesizing who would win, Los Angeles or Dubai, New York or London, etc., etc. It got me thinking, LT, which GFL team are you calling to win the GFL championship when they inevitably restart in 2027? Is it Los Angeles, Miami, or Sao Paulo?
Let's see here.
You could just
probably
base it off, like, top 5 if you don't want to read them all.
I mean, I'm trying to think here. Definitely not Sao Paulo. Definitely not Sao Paulo. I'm out on that. I mean, you've got Verdum and Shogun on there. Like, no, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Los Angeles is
Dude, LA
washed as
is
shit,
literal
too.
rat shit.
Yeah, it's like Alimale is like the only one with still a heartbeat.
I mean, I gotta be honest. I'm not sure. Like, I think they're all. I mean, these are all like not great choices.
Well, these
so
are elite fighters in their prime.
I guess I'll go Miami. I'll go Miami.
Honestly,
right?
the
'Cause you-
top 3 in Miami have all been active since this draft, whereas I feel like the rest of the
That's
teams,
insane.
there haven't been many
That's
active
insane.
people. All right, Jed, you changing that? You're going Miami too?
No, so when GFL drafted, I gave them draft grades immediately after on MMAFight.com great website. Someone pulled it up, and Sao Paulo is the winner of this on mine.
Oh wow.
Bill, like, Reynoso's like not awful. Petrozella's like not awful. Like it's all bad. LA is just total buns though. So as long as you're not picking LA, you're making a good choice.
LA would be good if they were all actually in their athletic prime, but
Correct. If we're doing time machine thing, LA is the winner.
Yeah, unfortunately, not the case. Jed, I didn't realize we were going to do a whole topic on this. Otherwise, I, maybe would have skipped this one. But, Dustin Poirier made headlines for all the wrong reasons this Father's Day when he got arrested for public drunkenness in Atlanta.
Look at him squaring up, man. Still
it's
got
unclear, Jed, if you were partying with him beforehand, but, you are a lawyer, so we'll just leave that to the imagination. Dustin started coming at the officer looking to instigate a fight. It got me thinking, what a menace a drunk Dustin Poirier would be in the octagon. Perhaps a new mythical fighter? So, Jed, if they were all brought back today, which mythical fighter of the past are you calling to become a UFC champion in 2026? Is it TRT Tour, Uberim, or motivated BJ Penn?
Oh, I mean, you have to go Uberim because heavyweight is just awful. But like the mythical fighters, motivated BJ Penn is the strongest mythical fighter I think of all time.
Right, but it's in today's date, so you have to like, given all the CTE and stuff, so
yeah, it's give me Uberim because heavyweight is buns. But like BJ Penn was my first favorite fighter. I will always love him, even when he makes it hard.
I feel like TRT Tour could be up there at light heavy, middleweight, whatever he wants to. I guess that was light heavy, right?
But we have a TRT Tour. It's called Dricus Duplessis.
That's true. That is very true. All right. LT, Dana White recently did an interview where he was asked about doing Pride nights. While he took it as an opportunity to say he's just not that into it. He lets everybody be themselves and do their thing. It got me thinking of a different kind of Pride night where the UFC honors the legends of Pride by making them fight way past their prime for their own financial gain. So, which Pride legend are you calling to fight in the main event against a to-be-determined opponent? Is it 49-year-old Vanderlei Silva, 55-year-old Dan Henderson, or 50-year-old Big Nog?
Dude, that Vanderlei photo is jarring. Nog looks like great. Vanderlei is scaring the shit out of me right now.
I was gonna have Vanderlei.
I don't understand this question. Can you say it one more time?
Who would you bring back to headline a UFC Pride night, meaning Pride FC? But they're at their current age, but it's against a TBD opponent, so it could be against a total can.
I mean, the answer is you could not, in good conscience, bring Vanderlei back after he got completely flatlined in his last whatever the fuck that was, and many times before it. Nog, same. You got to go Hendo. Hendo was the last
55.
Dude, he was a fucking 2-weight world champ out of Pride. Put some respect on his name.
I mean, I love Hendo, but I'm taking Big Nog here. Jed, who are you taking?
Yeah, I'm taking the shortest route into the bottom of the ocean. Please don't make me watch old men fist fight.
Oh, so you're going Vanderlei. All right, got you.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah. Jed, we recently got this is actually even more appropriate because we got the global viewership White House numbers, and some people are calling them a disappointment. Other people were saying they were a huge success. One thing is clear. Power Slap does 10 times those numbers. And because of that, they are ready to step out of the apex and bring it to an iconic venue. Sure, some scenery in the background is nice, but with 80,000 people expecting to be watching in a park nearby, they're going to need a venue that really accentuates each slap. So, which venue are you calling on to be the Power Slap Freedom 250 host? Is it the Grand Canyon, the Grotto at the Playboy Mansion, or the Taj Mahal?
We can't do it at the bar where Dana White slapped his wife. Is that not?
That would have been good, man. That would have been
I genuinely thought that was going to be there.
No, these are all very like echo-inducing places, like caves, canyons.
Not a bad thought.
Yeah.
What's the middle one's what grotto?
The Playboy Mansion. Come on.
The Playboy Mansion.
They've done fights there before. It kind of makes sense. Power Slap.
If you're gonna do if you're going for grand spectacle, you should do the Grand Canyon because genuinely the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I think I ever will see in my life, is the Grand Canyon. But like fitting the vibe, this isn't even a stretch. I think they just could do a Power Slap at the Playboy Mansion, and it 100%. Wouldn't be Like that wouldn't break stride for them. They'd be like, yeah, it's just a Tuesday here at the mansion. So
LT,
you got to
didn't
go
you-
mention, but
LT, didn't you see fights at the Playboy Mansion?
No, I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go. All right, sorry, I thought you went.
I mean, I watched it on whatever the fuck they were streaming it. I think it was Facebook or something.
But you'd go for Power Slap, right?
I'd rather die.
All right, yeah. The old walrus thing. All right, guys. Well, that was Better Call, y'all. Hope you enjoyed it.
The old walrus thing, you know.
All right. We do have some fan submissions. morningkombat@gmail.com is going to be the place to send those. And the best one all month gets a free signed poster. So let's go check those out, please. This is time.
You've got mail.
Viewers.
All right, there we have it.
It
Two
gets me
intros.
every time.
All right, we got one from John McClain. We got a meme. Nephew's birthday party, live stream Apex card for 9 hours.
Hey, to be fair, I double dipped. I only left the party like an hour early. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah. 9 hours too, that's a stretch. It was like 6.
Dude, most kids' parties are just 2 hours, right?
Yeah, but also like I feel like kids' party, we often just turn them into adult parties. There's a lot of drinking involved. Next thing you know, the kid's taking a nap. We forget we're even celebrating the kid's birthday.
Yeah, how old's the nephew?
He was 3,
Oh.
so yeah, it was.
Also, that meme suggests you would have a hard time making that choice, and not at all. We know
Yeah,
you're
I was
picking
gonna
the
say,
live
that is
stream
true.
the Apex for sure.
I also
So he's
got
just-
him for his birthday. Got him the Knicks championship shirt, but they only had adult small, and he is 3 years old, so it'll fit him in like 8 years. And I was like, "Happy birthday, Junior! There you go. I'm going to watch the Apex card. See ya."
I thought you were going to get him the UFC colognes.
All right, then we have Run Dim Cheeks, number 2. What are your plans on Saturday? I might mow my lawn since the fights will end around 4. Wait, I don't quite get this one. Well, help me understand what I'm missing here.
It's better if it's not Saturday, but you hate.
Why am I washing my hands?
Like you can't associate with someone who mows their lawn.
Oh, I see.
think.
It's
It's
okay.
like, yeah.
Yeah, the mow the lawn thing has really taken on quite a life of its own. I mean, I guess I have to be happy when my neighbor mows the yard and when I'm on the air.
It's a
Not
great
allowed to-
gimmick, man.
Not allowed to make comments about it. Apparently, you just have to sit there and take it. All right. From Jonathan, let's see. What do we have? Divorce leads children to the worst places.
Oh,
Yeah, it certainly does. Monster Energy.
and I really want to vape.
Whose picture is that at the bottom?
that's me at the bottom, and then a
Is that
you
you at the
sticker. That's me at the bottom right. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's vape. There's my LTGP stuff. There's all kinds of stuff in there. That's great. Yeah, it's terrible. Divorce is terrible. I certainly agree. All right, that's a little dark, but what are you gonna do? Mike has 5 memes apparently. Let's see what
damn.
Mike's been cooking. LT looking in the mirror at Joseph A. Bank, knowing damn well he's about to drop a. This is. Oh, by the way, I meant to tell you. Look, I even took a picture of it. I'll see if I can find it. My wife made dinner
Please
reservations.
don't show us your poos.
Not at Joseph A. Bank, but she made dinner reservations when we went out for Father's Day, and at this place they had. Check this out. Hold on, let me see if I can grab it here. Just give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. Guess what it was next to?
Buddy, I can't see shit there.
It's Joseph here. It's Joseph A. Bank here.
Okay, yeah, Joseph.
Hold on. One more time. Put it on me. You see?
Oh, that's much clearer that time.
I was like, wow, back to the scene of the crime, huh? All right. I haven't been there since.
Dip out on dinner and just pop over, see how the facilities are.
It's like, guys, I'm sorry, I'm back. Round 2. All right, let's see what we got for a second one. Sober Luke Thomas, drunk and high. I don't know how you guys do it, man, because if I even have a drink or any kind of a smoke, it really just messes up my concentration for these kinds of things. I mean, I'm barely doing a halfway decent job watching it, much less.
The smoking isn't the bad thing. I feel like the drinking at first, I was like, oh, dude, I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. But I feel like now I just lean into it. And it's like, you get what you get,
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We got, I think, 3 more from him. People complaining about matchmaking. UFC just put the meta AI rankings on with the flex tape.
AI
Okay.
sells everything, man.
Again, or they can just ignore it. And then last but not least, how do we make this sport better? Someone says meta rankings. Someone says shut the fuck up and watch the fights. And then the last person says make the best fight the best. And then they throw that motherfucker out the window. Not bad. All right. Oh no, actually there's another one. Hold on. Get some sleep or drink 4 energy drinks, then complain I can't. This is such a fucking thing that is so absolutely not true at all. I honestly cannot remember the last time I've had it. Like, to the extent you see me have an energy drink on here, which is, by the way, if you look at the number of times you've seen it, it is relatively infrequent. Those are the only times I have it, right? Those are the only times I have it. It is very, very rare. And that's only usually after the night where I haven't slept at all and I have to be on the air for 2 hours. I am actually like very delicate about how I have my caffeine now because
you're very delicate, Luke.
I have
you're
to.
Very delicate flower.
Fuck you, bitch. Your day's coming too. Don't think, oh, I'm in my 30s. I don't have to worry about that. Just you wait. Just you wait. So I don't have caffeine afternoon, like ever. I don't ever do that. People radically overestimate.
That's the most old man shit in the world. I don't have caffeine afternoon.
No, I don't. I can't do it. I can't
Noon is crazy, dude.
That's the most old man shit I've ever.
Bro, when I was in my 20s, I could have coffee and then go to sleep. And in my 30s, shouldn't have it too late. Your body will fail you. There's nothing you can do about it. Like everyone says this shit, like, oh, that's so laughable, bitch. You're next. Please listen.
Put a reason. Look, what time is it? It's 1 p.m. You got to get ready for the early bird special at Denny's. Fucking old
dude. 6 p.m. is a totally reasonable. Don't drink coffee after 6 p.m. Like that's that's.
I've seen people who can have it after a meal and go to sleep.
I can have it at like 9 p.m. and fall asleep. But
I've seen that. I've absolutely seen that. That is not my life. That is not my life. So like, you can make fun of me for like reducing my caffeine consumption. But what you can't say is like I'm having energy drinks all the time. I'm absolutely not doing that. Not true at all. No. My problems with sleep, I wish it was as simple as this. You know what I mean? I wish it was as simple as just stop drinking energy drinks. Oh, is that the simple? Oh, now I'll sleep for like a fucking baby. That's not my problem. You know what I'm saying? All right. We got one more from Eric, I think. LT podcasting as Tukey comes home. Please be quiet, Mia Moore.
I like that one. I think that's the best one of the day.
Yeah, dude, because she'll just bang down the door like the fucking SWAT team.
I had my girlfriend was fucking dying laughing yesterday, Luke. I had your live chat on and I'm like in the other room and Tukey was doing something outside the door and you're like, hold on. And then you're like, she's got the whipped cream canister.
Yeah, dude. Do you know what she did? I'm sitting there podcasting and I'm sitting there like trying to think through an answer. And in my ear out here, I hear, like when you get the cans of whipped cream and you press it, it goes like that. I hear that sound and I'm like, no.
Nothing good can be happening.
You sure she wasn't in an Arby's parking lot making that sound? I mean, shit.
Jeez.
Listen, who doesn't love a little whipped cream? We all do. But I caught her red-handed just all to the face. I was like, no fucking chance. All right. That's the show. If you got more jokes, morningkombat@gmail.com is the best place to send those, or just questions to the show. They can all go there. What else do we have here? Oh, before we get to everything else, Jed, coverage for the weekend. What do you got going on?
I won't have anything going on because I am tomorrow morning flying out to Kansas City to watch what has the potential to be the funniest game of the World Cup. I don't know if you've seen this, Luke. I'm going to the Austria-Algeria game, and apparently neither team wants to win because of like seeding in the next, like when you get to the knockout stages. And if they win, they probably have to play Spain. And so I might be attending a soccer game where both teams are actively trying to
at the draw.
Why did you buy tickets to this game?
My sister lives in Kansas City. She got them. And so like I'm just going out to see her and it'll be like a fun thing to do or whatever. But for MMA Fighting, we have a preview show coming up in about a half hour over on our YouTube channel. Go check that out. And then our normal coverage of all the events this weekend. We will have a post show tomorrow morning after UFC Baku, PFL coverage tomorrow night. I think we're covering the boot tennis thing. I'm not 100% on that. And then Luke, we have a rare week off after this. So don't know what we're doing next week, but yeah, MMAfighting.com, great website.
We're going to be struggling for topics. I know that. All right, Long Island, what you got going on?
I got a new prop quiz dropping in 29 minutes. It is Ben the Bane Davis taking on Mike Heck. Winner moves on to the final for $100. So tune into that. Doing a full card Baku watch along, 9 a.m. baby, be there. And yeah, that's pretty much it, right? An off week. I mean, I'll probably kill myself. No, I don't know. I'll just find something to do in the meantime. Sorry, I didn't mean to be so weird. You guys got weird.
Yeah. What do you do if you can't live string some dog water fights instead of hang out with your girlfriend?
Maybe I'll finally update the prop quiz rules video to include steals because I
so
still
not
haven't
hang out with
done
your
that.
girlfriend. That was not the answer.
I mean, 4th of July, we'll hang out. We got time. But yeah, we got time, guys.
Zippy. All right. So let's set this up before we get out of here. Of course, you can go to morningkombat.shop, right? I can never fucking remember. morningkombat.shop for the June exclusive. We have the 3 designs there. We don't have to go through the whole rotation. And then we also have the basketball one still available, again, just until the end of the month. So time is of the essence. You can follow us on social everywhere if you're so inclined, for Morning Kombat, for me, and for Jed. Of course, you can go to MMAfighting.com for Jed's work or their YouTube channel as well. We are out of here. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Oh, and of course, don't forget, you can become a member and support the channel that way as well. We always appreciate any and all forms of support. Okay? All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend. A lot of fun fights to watch. We'll react to them all on Monday. And until then, may all of your gains be loyal.